Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Joseph Carrabba, CEO of Winston Gold Corp, formerly high up at Newmont, the world's largest gold company. So I'm looking forward to hearing your insights into the craziness we're witnessing worldwide right now. So first of all, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate your time and the audience's time to hear our story.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to. So I want to get right into it. There are trillions of dollars being printed, flooding into bonds and seemingly causing short-term deflation. But eventually that money finds its way into people's hands. And eventually we're probably going to see significant inflation. Can you tell us how that's going to affect the average person and why that's good for gold and silver?
Sure. I think and I think you add into that not only the COVID that has taken the world by storm, if you will, and surprise, pandemic that nobody's ever seen, and certainly that's coming from turning on the printing presses, as you said, and printing trillions of dollars of debt in all these countries that are already very far in debt. Sooner or later, and I think it's sooner rather than later, that the music has to stop and hyperinflation is going to come in with all of these paper currencies that aren't backed by anything. And I see, if you look at the World Gold Council's reports, they do inflows and outflows of where the gold is going right now, and the ETFs. It's all inflows into the gold security areas with it. And a lot of the secondary currencies in the world, those countries, they see it coming. They are buying gold. They're putting it in their central bank vaults because they're going to have something to hedge their inflation with as it comes on. And I think those are, from a macro side, two very big indicators that go with it. Here in the U.S., and I'll speak to the U.S. Only, as you know, we have forbearance right now, so people are allowed to forego their mortgages and their payments with it. Again, the statistics on that of people getting behind are staggering. You know, the unemployment today dropped from 8.2 to 7.9, but still it's 7.9%. And you see the announcements now that all the PPP money has run out September 30th, the massive layoffs that were announced over the last couple of days of, Disney with 28,000 people, Shell 9,000 people, the airlines, just the two, American and United, announcing 32,000 layoffs, and on and on and on. Those even haven't hit the statistics. And, those are high paying jobs and good paying jobs with benefits. And all that is going to come to hit. And I think shortly after the election is over, everything here in the U.S. is being held up with that. So it only, unfortunately, for everybody that's caught in a horrible economic situation, it couldn't be a brighter outlook for gold. And you read the Goldman Sachs, the Bank of America's, the world, many of them are already over $3,000 in 2021 for the price of gold. And there's some outlandish figures there too. But irregardless, if the industry is working on $1,900, $2,000 gold, it's happy days for the gold miners out there, Josh, given their costs, because we don't have any inflation on the cost side.
And you mentioned outlandish stats. I mean, a great example of that is 28 million Americans are facing homelessness when the moratoriums expire. That's 9 out of 100 people. I don't think most of us ever expected anything that intense. A lot of us have been calling, there's a collision course. Eventually, what goes up must come down, and the Fed has been printing a lot of currencies. So no doubt we're going to reach an endpoint at some point. But this year has just been absolutely insane as far as looking at the jobs numbers, looking at unemployment numbers. The amount of people deferring on their mortgage is absolutely unbelievable. I did want to get into something more futuristic, because in a digital age, do you see gold being a safe haven with wealth insurance, like we've seen for thousands of years historically? Do you see that continuing as strong as it has in the past into a digital future?
Well, I do, and you look at it is held up through the ages of almost the beginning of mankind. It is the value carries across the world, so it's not a currency driven thing. It doesn't have any middlemen in the place manipulating the currencies as you go forward. And you can wear it on your wrist, you can wear it in your earrings, you can carry it in your pocket. It's a good source of barter that you can use around the world, and everybody knows the value of gold as it comes with it. If you look at the other currencies and how the valuations change each day, I have to take a laugh when I listen to the financial markets and they say, well, the US dollar is strengthening today. Well, it can only be strengthening because the other currencies in the world are so bad. There's nothing
to the bottom.
The US dollar. It's going the other way. And if you look at the COVID cases that are now ramping back up in Europe after they got a hold of it very quickly, and in the UK as well, it just bodes for worse economic situations around the world as we get into the new year. And as all the experts, the medical experts are predicting, we're with flu season and people moving indoors when it gets cold, we're going to have another ramp up. And that just not only, shuts businesses down again, potentially, but I think also it's just the nervousness in the marketplace. And again, where are people going to go with these wild swings that they're seeing in the market and with currencies? And gold is the stabilizer, as you see right now. So no, I think it's here for the long term. And I think people have the sense of value. It's hard to buy gold or silver bullion right now. Just as a side note, if you do want to put a few, 1 ounce bars or whatever into your vault, personally, it's becoming quite scarce as well. So there's obviously an uptake on the private side as well.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what anyone thinks of COVID or coronavirus, one way or another, we know that there's going to be more lockdowns coming. I mean, it's hard to believe there isn't, considering cold and flu season coming up, whether it's false positives or it's real positives, regardless of what people think, because there's politics, of course, at play here, as always. One way or another, what we do know is that there's going to be another strain on the economy coming up in the winter. So a lot of people are trying to prepare any way they can. And another thing that kind of adds to the chaos of everything that's happening in the world right now is the election. And I wanted to ask, do you see the election having a say in the future of gold value? I mean, many people believe the Fed will go crazy regardless of the president. So I was wondering what you thought about that.
Yeah, I think irregardless of who wins the presidency and whether it's a Democrat or Republican president or Congress, I think they have to keep on with the stimulus as well. And for all the good folks out there that are the poor small businessman that's getting caught in the middle by government decree with it, I don't see it makes any difference whatsoever. The stimulus is going to have to continue. Just like the airlines. Look, we need a strong airline industry when things do rebound, and they're going to have to keep the airlines solvent as well. I know a lot of people don't like that. But what would we do without the strong airline system that we have? And I think they're trying to operate as safe as they possibly can. So, yeah, I think it, again, just bodes well for the gold and the gold values. We went through, particularly in Canada, it was out of favor or pushed to the side. We went through the cryptocurrency craze first, then we went through the cannabis craze that everybody jumped on. And now if you think the rotation, a lot of people made money in that. A lot of people lost money in that, and people are now rotating back to the gold sector.
It's interesting. I've had this conversation with a lot of people before, considering the value of gold, and obviously we're not going to get you to explain what gives gold value. I'm sure you've done that a million times, but what I am interested in is the idea of gold as wealth insurance versus investment, and that's where the mining companies come in. And I wanted to ask, do you see mining companies as more bullish for investment and gold as more bullish for just wealth insurance against a crisis? What are your thoughts on the difference between obviously getting involved in a mining company to make money, or, for example, just holding on to gold to keep yourself safe?
I think getting into the mining companies at this stage, and it depends on where you're at, if it's the majors, the mid-majors, or the juniors like Winston Gold is as well. I mean, the entry point still is quite low. If you look at Warren Buffett, just jumped in on Barrick at a very substantial fund. I think it was $500 million. This is his first time he's ever gotten into gold. He's always been bearish on gold in that it doesn't gain anything as far as dividend or interest rate from there. If he's made that turn and moved into the mining companies, he could have bought into the ETFs or physical gold as well. You can kind of see where one of the most prominent investors have gone. typically the industry has a multiple on it of somewhere between 6 and 10, 8 and 10 off of the EBITDA or the free cash flow, whichever metric the analyst chooses to use as you go from there. The junior market hasn't really picked up, if you will. We're always kind of the last in there. And if you look at someone like Winston, you know, you're really paying a 0 multiple right now. We're just about to go into production next month. And then we'll have cash flow and EBITDA that people can start putting multiples on. But as I explained to a lot of investors, you know, as to why now, it's because you are getting in at the ground floor and you're getting in with a company like Winston that is near production. Within the next 30 days, we'll be producing gold. And there aren't many of those out there.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Can you tell us about Winston Gold Corp? Just give people an idea of the company itself for those that haven't yet heard of it. And what brought you from Newmont, the biggest gold company in the world, over to Winston? That's a huge move.
Well, I've spent my whole career in mining business. I'm a geologist with an MBA by training. I've been fortunate to work all over the world in many different commodities. And I spent 22 years with Rio Tinto in working in remote Australia, in Singapore, in the UK. My last assignment with Rio, I ran Diavik Diamonds out of Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories in Canada. Actually lived in Yellowknife and was recruited out to become the CEO and chairman of Cleveland Cliffs, a big iron ore and met coal producer on the New York Stock Exchange. Along those times, I picked up the board seat, fortunately, at Newmont. I ran their sustainability operations and safety committee for 9 years. And then last June, when we finished the merger with Gold Corp, you know, 9 years is a long time on a board. I do believe in term limits in boards. This was going to be the formation of 17 people on a new board, and they would have to deal with a lot of the, you know, just putting these large companies together in a merger like that, from IT systems to auditing to accounting systems. And at this stage of my life and my career, I was just ready to just keep mining, quite frankly, if you will, Josh. So I looked in the junior market. I resigned from Newmont, and it's a wonderful company. No bad or ill feelings there. Looked around in the junior space, did a lot of due diligence, and then ran upon Winston Gold by LinkedIn, of all things. Did my due diligence on the desktop and went out and spent 3 days with Murray Nye and his team. Went from the drill pad to the core shed to the assay lab through the geological model. It was fully permitted, a good lease arrangements with it. Montana's a great state to be in to mine in, so a good jurisdiction. And I jumped in, and I'm the largest shareholder now, as you say, and the executive chairman of that. And being a small company, you know, I mean, I'm hands-on. We work together 5 or 6 times a day. We're on the phone. I'm actually going out on the 11th to spend a week with the guys out there. So yeah, I'm all in on it. Then we leased a mill in March that had been sitting idle for a number of years, fully permitted, with a tailings pond that's fully lined. It doesn't have any tailings in it. Hired a mill superintendent out of Sybane-Stillwater, just up the road out of Yellowstone. He's put the mill back together, put about $250,000 into it to get it rehabbed right. And we've got the new crushing circuit coming in at the end of next week. That's the last piece of the puzzle that goes with it. So we are mining ore. We're on the ore veins in the mine. We drove the drift 1,400 feet to get on 3 veins, and we will be opening up 6 headings as we step up in production from 50, 60 tons a day to within the next few months, we'll be at 150 tons a day of production.
Wow. Well, it's great to hear that LinkedIn works from time to time. That's interesting. And by the way, for those that aren't aware, I mean, I don't just say lightly that Newmont is the biggest gold company in the world. It's every gold company wants to associate with Newmont to some degree. So to see someone go from Newmont to Winston Gold is very impressive, to say the least. So just some context there. But I wanted to ask, because you're talking about, you know, mining is pretty much imminent over there, and I wanted to ask, what sort of valuation will these production numbers create, judging by pure comparison?
So if you look at, our plan is in the first 12 months of production, a full 12 months, whether that won't be a calendar year, but, from November to November, if you will. our plans are to produce 30,000 ounces of gold, and it has 2 ounces of silver per ton that goes with it. So, the math, they use $2,000 is pretty easy on the 30,000 ounces. We've got a cost of about $900 an ounce, so it's about a 50% premium that's going to come off of that. So we expect a nice profit at the end of year one. We have, as we've gone through, we have paid for all of our capital equipment. All the mining equipment has either been purchased or leased. We built the maintenance shop and the dry for the miners that are coming in. And as I say, the mill is leased. And we just paid cash for the crushing circuit that we had to put in as well. So we're debt free going into this, and now we're just looking at the all-in sustaining cost of production to go with it. So we're financially we're in very good shape to get started.
And for legal reasons, I always have to make sure to point out that we like spotlighting great companies. But with that said, everyone has to do their own due diligence. And obviously, this isn't investment advice, but it's great to put spotlights on these companies because a lot of our viewers are very interested in investing in a lot of these great companies that we spotlight here at World Alternative Media. Other than yourself, sir, what notable shareholders and or supporters do you have at Winston Gold?
So it's all private shareholders at this point in time. We don't have any institutions that's in. Mackey Research has been very valuable out of Vancouver and very helpful with us as there. They have invested some of their funds in that and have been helpful gathering shareholders. So the shareholders are pretty much equally split of about 50% of private investors, many of my friends and my networks within the U.S., and 50% also say the rest of the world. Primarily, the other 50% is primarily Canadian. But we have investors from Germany, from Russia, from the UK, from New Zealand is one of our largest shareholders, an individual over there. So it's, you can see we're getting a lot of calls from people around the world that want to invest in gold, and they want to, everybody wants to hit the cycle now, right, Josh? I mean, we all know these commodities are cyclical. Now, how long will the gold run be? Nobody knows, but they do want to hit it now, and they want to get their returns back while everything is favorable from there. So that's about the split of the shareholders as well. I suspect once we start free cash flow, we get a little larger then. The market cap goes up just with the multiple, that we'll see some institutions come in and probably have some analysts starting to write with us. And then, as you know, that only helps the capital structure just that much more.
Interesting. Well, the momentum is certainly growing fast. Even a lot of the institutional investors that previously were attacking gold, seemingly for no reason on television for years, are getting into gold right now. I think a lot of people feel that something big is happening, and looking at the silver gold ratio, there's a lot of great trends on the horizon. I wanted to ask, the numbers appear to show that Winston Gold Corp can be worth around $200 million based on the PE ratios given to companies that mine 90 ounces a day. How significant is this going forward?
Well, it's very significant, obviously, as you just pointed out with that, for what we're trying to do for the shareholders is, one, certainly capital appreciation. Everybody wants that. I call it the quick buck, and that's okay to watch that share price every day as a barometer that goes with it. One of the other things that we've committed to the private individuals we've talked to is a strong dividend that goes along with it. Yes, we have growth plans with it, but we're not going to take all of the shareholders' money and plow it back into the company. We're going to give a substantial dividend once we get a little bit of money in the treasury in a couple of quarters, but we expect dividends by the second or third quarter of next year. So we think we've got that's unusual for a mining company, right? When you look, I think Newmont's probably one of the healthiers at 2.5%, 3%. I haven't looked lately on a dividend, but it's not a great payout that you get from mining companies because they plow back in growth. And again, we do have growth plans. We have many of a brownfield types of growth that we can get right off the Winston property ourselves. We're just starting to drill the old Custer mine property there, and we're sure that we can take our property at least from 30,000 to 50,000 ounces in the next 2 years to go with it. But we want to make sure that the shareholder gets both I don't worry about the share price. If we perform, the share price will take care of itself. I think sometimes like people in my position focus too much every day on a half a cent on the share price, and it will take care of itself and people will see the value. And we're just staying very focused on getting production up and running, and the share price will take care of itself.
Well, it's very interesting, and I know I've heard of Winston Gold Corp a couple times over the last couple of months. It's definitely been perking up my ears, and I'm interested in following up with you in the future. But I wanted to ask where people can find out more about Winston Gold Corp and possibly invest. What are the tickers?
Sure. So they're Winston Gold Mining. .com. You can certainly get there and get everything off there. I'm sorry, I just knocked over the prop here. And the tickers, I always have to make sure it's WGC.CN. Okay, that's the Canadian. We're on the Canadian Stock Exchange. And on the over-the-counter in the US, if you're investing out of there, it's WGMCF, okay, for the over-the-counter. And it's about, I'm just looking right now, it's 9.5 cents on the over-the-counter, the US. And we are 13 cents today, up a little bit, WGC.CN today as well. So you'll be able to find us there. And then, of course, all of our contact details are in Winston Gold on the website. And I talk to shareholders, big, little, doesn't matter, from all over the world, as Murray Nye, the CEO, does. So you won't get just an 800 number with a dial-in. You'll be talking directly to us. And we're always happy to anybody that's interested in putting their hard-earned dollars into the company. So we don't shy away from talking with anybody. We're happy to talk to all the shareholders.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you joining us today. Hopefully we'll be able to talk with you again soon. It's great to hear your expertise on this. Obviously, you've been involved in, well, Newmont and now Winston Gold, and these are, Newmont again is a huge company, very impressive going into Winston Gold. That gives a lot of people a lot of a bullish trajectory looking forward at Winston Gold. Of course, everyone, as I said before, do your own due diligence and look into all this stuff. The websites and links and the tickers for Winston Gold Corp are below the video. So I really appreciate you joining us today, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks very much. Yeah, anytime. And I appreciate the shareholders who listen in, and those who potential shareholders. Thank you for your time, and look forward to talking to you.
My friends, it is go time. We are completely demonetized on YouTube, and we depend on the viewer to stay alive and spread the message of freedom and truth. So check those links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar, anything you guys could do to help keep independent media alive helps enormously in helping spread this message to the masses. So make sure to check those links. Donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen or below. We really appreciate anything you could do to keep us alive. You could check those links below for Cointree as well, where you can find other cryptocurrencies that you can donate and keep WAM alive. Find us on flote.app, flote.app, as well as BitChute and LBRY and Minds. We're on all the other platforms. We are leaving YouTube soon, so make sure to find us at those sites, because it's the only way we can keep talking to you, the masses, the great people that actually care about the future of free humanity. Also, join our new newsletter at www.iamband.com. Anything helps at this point, guys. We need to support free information online. This is the most difficult time in our history, and it takes a lot of hard work to keep our message alive in the face of great evils that have taken over the propaganda news on television as well as on YouTube, where YouTube decides what you can or cannot see. We need your help, my friends. So I really appreciate anything you guys can do. Check those links. There's many ways you can help. Until next time, though, thanks, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.